What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. Boy, oh boy, what a difference a couple of years makes. A couple years ago, if you said anything negative about trans ideology, you really would have been blasted out of any corner. This is weaponized compassion at its peak. But now, after enough story time, drag time hours, and enough LGBTQIA plus ideology has infiltrated basically everything, the everyday normal people are like, what is going on here? Why are we trying to do this to our children? If you want to be over 18, you've had body dysmorphia or gender dysmorphia, and you want to do something to alleviate that, fine. The Blair Whites of the world, but they don't ask you to completely pretend that all of reality is different. The Blair Whites of the world will still acknowledge they are biological men and or the reverse of that, and that it's just something they do to relieve the discomfort from said dysmorphia. But it's taken on a whole new thing, and of course, woke celebrities virtue signaling, or that really think they're on that right side of history, they of course were the first ones to turn on everyone, including JK, who again has multiple times said she has nothing against anyone, but she does not want to give up women's rights, women's suffrage, and things that women have struggled for to biological men, which is what has been happening. Shout out to the Riley Gaines of the world combating it. So yeah, Daniel Radcliffe, who played the titular character in Harry Potter film series created by J.K. Rowling, has weighed in on the author's comments about transgender ideology, declaring that the situation makes him really sad. Well, it makes me really sad, but not for the reason you think. In a recent interview with The Atlantic, Radcliffe briefly touched on an op-ed he wrote in 2020. Oh, 2020, what a great time. Everyone was so sane. For LGBT suicide prevention group, the Trevor Project, wherein the actor decried the Harry Potter author's social media comments about transgenders. I'd worked with the Trevor Project for 12 years, and it would have seemed like, I don't know, immense cowardice to me to not say something, Radcliffe told the outlet. I wanted to try and help people that had been negatively affected by the comments, he went on, and to say that if those are Joe's views, then they are not the views of everybody associated with the Potter franchise. Yeah, and if you look at the statistics, you'd find out that even after forced transitions, it actually goes up, not down. I worked with the Trevor Project for 12 years. He went on to say specifically addressing Joe's stance on transgender ideology. Radcliffe then added, it makes me really, really sad ultimately because I do look at the person that I met, the times that we met, and the books that she wrote, and the world that she created, and all of that is, to me, is so deeply empathic. Sorry. It's like, how could you not actually listen to what she's saying? He would then declare, there's a version of, are these three kids ungrateful brats that people have always wanted to write, and they were finally able to, so good for them, I guess. Further adding, Rowling, obviously, Harry Potter would not have happened without her. Bro, you wouldn't have a career without her. None of you would. So nothing in my life would have probably happened that way it is without her. That person, you want to fucking say it. But that doesn't mean that you owe things you truly believe to someone else for your entire life. Sure. A few weeks back, J.K. Rowling stated that she will not forgive Harry Potter stars Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson for openly supporting transgender ideology, further declaring that they should also apologize to the detransitioners after report concludes the UK lacks research to help transition gender questioning children. Yeah, the damning 400-page report conducted by pediatric disability consultant Dr. Hilary Cass found that medical interventions in the gender medicine field lacked both the research and evidence to treat gender questioning youth. And you'll also find out that they stopped doing a lot of those bottom surgeries in other countries. Only America is still pushing forward. $70,000 a pop for those vaginoplasties, and they're doing 3 or 4 a day. It's a business. It is a business. They turn your children into lifelong medical patients. Among the key findings, Dr. Cass concluded that clinicians are unable to determine with any certainty which children and young people will go on to have an enduring trans identity, noting for most young people, a medical pathway will not be the best way to i.e., most people would just grow up to be gay. Everyone wants to talk about trans genocide. I'm not even going to say a gross other thing like genocide. I'll say it. Everyone wants to talk about trans genocide. Well, the only genocide going on right here is against gay people. You are taking people that would otherwise just grow up to be gay, and you are turning them to lifelong medical patients. You're butchering them. If you heard the horror stories of what happens in some of these surgeries and the lifelong effects afterwards, this is not done. We don't trust children for what they want to eat for dinner. We don't trust them to wear to school. And we're going to trust them their gender, of which there's only two. Yeah, this is, it's insidious. I hate when people call everything evil, but this at its core is evil. Actual factual evil. There's no simple explanation for the increase in numbers of predominantly young people and young adults who have a trans or gender diverse identity. Yes, there is. It's a very simple explanation. It's a mental mind virus that absolutely can be transferred over. We're seeing this with young girls, specifically. Shout out Abigail Schreier. If you've ever watched her on Rogan, they talk about this. It is the new, you can be special, you can stand out. It's the new punk rocker. It's the new joining the band. Oh, you just say you're trans. You just say you're trans. The problem is, unlike having an awkward phase in your teens where you wore, goth makeup or something like that, or you listen to ska bands, this has lifelong repercussions. And that's where the detransitioners come in. That's why that's such a baller comment by JK. Oh, you save your fucking sorries for all the detransitioners that you supported before anything else was tried, before actually letting them grow up, before letting them go through puberty, which you can't pause and restart again. I'll continue. The report found agreeing that this phenomenon is a result of a complex interplay between biological, psychological, and social factors. Dr. Cass also argues that the rationale for early puberty suppression remains unclear, with weak evidence regarding the impact on gender dysphoria, mental or psychosocial health, further concluding the effect on cognitive and sexual development remains unknown. Well, and I'm sure people will say is, why would they want a bunch of children to be frozen in a childlike state? Boy, I'll let you answer that question for yourself. In a series of posts shared on social media. Yeah, so this is what J.K. Rowling said right after these conclusions. It's a 6 parts. We're going to read that, and then this will be this. So here we go. J.K. Rowling. Over the last 4 years, Hilary Cass has conducted the most robust review of the medical evidence for transitioning children that's ever been conducted. Mere hours after it was released to the press and public, committed ideologies are doubling down. And that's what they do. I know it's video games and movies we're talking about, but every time they make a horrible mistake and they lose a bunch of money and then they do the same thing and we go, wow, they're doubling down. Because to not double down, to admit failure would be to admit that their ideology, which is behind everything they do, is wrong. These are the people who've deemed opponents far right. And as Elon Musk points out, these people are so far left that almost everyone is far right of them. So these are the people who've deemed opponents far right for wanting to know that there are proper checks and balances in place before autistic, gay, and abused kids, thank you, groups that are all overrepresented at gender clinics are left sterilized, inorgasmic, lifelong patients. What did I just say they turned them into? I haven't read these before. I understand that the review's conclusions will have come as a seismic shock to those who've hounded and demonized whistleblowers and smeared opponents as bigots and transphobes. Shout out to the bigot army. But trying to discredit Hilary Cass's work isn't merely misguided. It's actively malign, malignant. Even if you don't feel ashamed of cheerleading for what now looks like severe medical malpractice. And again, many of these surgeries are not even being done in other countries anymore. Even if you don't want to accept that you might have been wrong, where's your sense of self-preservation? The bandwagon you hopped on so gladly is hurling towards a cliff. Gladly. And if I sound angry, it's because I'm bloody angry. I read Cass this morning, and my anger's been mounting all day. I'm right there with you. The more this has gone on, the years, I'm pissed too. Kids have been irreversibly harmed, and thousands are complicit, not just medics, but the celebrity mouthpieces, unquestioning media, and cynical corporations. Yeah, God knows they didn't read a goddamn thing of actual news going on. The consequences of this scandal will play out for decades. You cheered it on. You did all you could to impede and misrepresent research. You tried to bully people out of their jobs for opposing you. Young people have been experimented on, left infertile and in pain. Yeah. And where is your compassion for that one? I thought the last tweet was going to be my last, but I just burst into tears. The hashtag Cass review may be a watershed moment, but it comes too late for detransitioners who've written me heartbreaking letters of regret. Today's not a triumph. It's the laying bare of a tragedy. In the comment section, of course, is everyone, and that's where she says that Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson, they can stuff their sorries in a sack. No, they can save it for the detransitioners. And that is what I would say to any one of you who have been caught up by weaponized compassion. Look, do trans people exist? Yes. Yes, they do. Stay away from kids. If you're over 18, if you lived with it for a decade or more, you've talked, there's no other way, and you want to medically transition yourself to the opposite sex to cope, that's one thing. Again, the Blair Whites, you have my respect. At least she acknowledges that she's a biological male and that she has gender dysmorphia and body dysmorphia, and that this is how they cope. But the going after children, the weaponizing of the compassion, and the pushing of an evil ideology. And I mean that to say is it really is a genocide against gay people. It really is. I have a gay uncle, talk about all the time. If this ideology had existed when he was growing up, I would have a gay aunt right now. So let me know what you think of this. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And
well, bye.